Every team has one memorable goal in its history that, for some reason, stands above all the rest. Coming up next, here are the favorite goals of every major club in the world. Champions League Semifinals 2019, Barcelona vs Liverpool. You know the story. Barca wins 3-0 at Camp Nou. In the return leg, Liverpool without Mohamed Salah, without Roberto Firmino, and with eternal substitutes Divock Origi and Xherdan Shaqiri in the starting 11. Liverpool scores 3 at Anfield and levels a tie, just like the magical night in 2005 in Istanbul. But the best was yet to come. That historic corner kick that will never be erased from our memories. Trent Alexander-Arnold takes 4 steps to hand the ball off to Shaqiri, but realizing no defender is looking at the ball, he strikes mercilessly and connects with Origi, the only player awake in the entire box, to seal the immortal goal in an unforgettable match. Arjen Robben is responsible for the 2 most remembered goals in Bayern Munich's history. In second place, that corner kick by Frank Ribéry against Manchester United at Old Trafford. The Dutchman's sensational volley put Bayern into the 2010 Champions League semi-finals. 2 years later, Robben lived the saddest moment of his career when he missed that penalty in the final played at home against Chelsea. But that was only the penultimate page of his story, because 1 year later, Robben redeemed himself in a new final, in the 89th minute, against a Borussia Dortmund side that had made his life miserable for 2 straight seasons. Long ball from Boateng, control and backheel from Ribéry, and Robben slips between 3 defenders to punish Roman Weidenfeller, and finally win the Champions League trophy that football allowed him. Alessandro Del Piero was still a rookie. Juventus was tied 2-2 with Fiorentina at the Stadio delle Alpi in the 89th minute. That's when Alessandro Orlando sent his namesake into battle with a long ball from midfield. It was ridiculously high. Alex, sprinting into the box from the left side, struck the ball on the volley, but not with his left foot, which was better positioned, but with his right, at full speed, and with the outside of his boot. Yes, a volley after a 50-meter cross, on the run, with the outside of the foot, hitting a ball that soared over goalkeeper Francesco Toldo, who stood 196 meters tall. That goal gave birth to the legend of Pinturicchio, the nickname that followed him throughout his career, meaning Little Painter. Juventus went on to win a historic double, Coppa Italia and Scudetto, in that 1994-1995 season. The most iconic goal in the history of La Vecchia Signora del Calcio. Imagine Arsenal and Liverpool playing the final and the decisive game of the season at Anfield. Imagine Arsenal hasn't won the English League in 20 years. Imagine that, once again, the Gunners are about to finish in second place. Now imagine that, to avoid that fate, they must win by 2 goals to break the curse. And imagine Michael Thomas scoring the 2-0 in the last minute. That sounds like a lot of fantasy, right? Well, not quite. That's exactly what happened in 1989. Even more, on matchday 36, Arsenal lost at home on Derby County. On matchday 37, again at home, they drew with Wimbledon. In other words, they threw away the lead and the title. The only way to fix it was with a victory on the final day at Anfield, where they hadn't won in 15 years. And even victory wasn't enough. It had to be by at least 2 goals, and Liverpool hadn't lost by more than 1 goal at home in 3 years. In the 89th minute, Arsenal was winning, but only 1-0. And then came the most celebrated goal in the club's history. In one last desperate attempt, Dixon sent in long for Smith. Smith controlled, turned, and found Michael Thomas sprinting at 1000 km per hour. He controlled, got it back in the rebound, and finished like a god. Now, Arsenal and Liverpool were tied at 76 points, both with plus 37 goal average. But Arsenal prevailed on the third tiebreaker, goals scored, and ended 18 interminable years of drought. I mean, one more of their endless droughts. Champions League Final 2010 at the Santiago Bernabeu. Jose Mourinho's Inter Milan had already done the hard part: win the Scudetto, win the Coppa Italia, and eliminate mighty Barcelona in the semifinals. Only the final remained, against Bayern Munich, and Diego Milito took care of it with 2 goals. One particularly unforgettable, the 2-0, when he destroyed poor Daniel van Buiten in the 17th minute. The Argentine drove dangerously into the box, feinted inside, caught outside, goodbye balance, and fired it onto the net, to seal Inter Milan's treble, in the most iconic match and goal in the history of the Nerazzurri. The Manchester United of 1999 didn't break records, wasn't the first nor the last to win it all, but it was the only one to win it this way, so legendary. None of us who witnessed the 1999 Champions League final against Bayern Munich will ever be able to forget it, and as long as we live, we'll always be eager to tell the story to anyone willing to listen. Until the 19th minute, the match was boring. Bayern led 1-0 with no real excitement, until the 91st minute. David Beckham shone in a corner from the left. Ryan Giggs hit it poorly, but Teddy Sheringham redirected it to send the game to extra time. But extra time wasn't even needed. 2 minutes later, another corner, same side. This time poorly headed by Sheringham, then redirected by Ole Gunnar Solskjær, who sealed his legendary status. Manchester United completed their treble: Champions League, FA Cup, and Premier League. The most glorious season in their history, forever encapsulated in one image: the goal by Ole Gunnar Solskjær. A goal like Gareth Bale in the Champions League final against Liverpool would be the greatest in the history of almost any club. But at Real Madrid, it's not enough. A goal like Sergio Ramos in another Champions League final against Atletico de Madrid will be the most memorable for nearly any other team on the planet. But even that one falls a little bit short. The greatest and most unforgettable goal in Real Madrid's history came in another Champions League final, the one played in 2002 against Bayer Leverkusen. 1-1 on the scoreboard. Long pass from Santiago Solari to Roberto Carlos. The Brazilian scrambles it however he can, and Zinedine Zidane does this. The ball came down from the floodlights of the Hampden Park in Glasgow, and yet the Frenchman struck it like only he could, scoring the goal of goals in Real Madrid's history. Hey there! You might know Barak in Spanish. Our channel has over 400,000 subscribers. Well, this is the official English version. Same content, same passion. Now in your language. But we need your help to grow. Hit that subscribe button and join us on this new journey. Now, let's get back to the video. Rivaldo's bicycle kick in the dying seconds of the final matchday against Valencia became in 2001 the second most famous goal in Barcelona's history, but not for long. In 2009, Andrés Iniesta's strike at the Stamford Bridge displaced it. Then, in 2017, against PSG, Sergi Roberto challenged that second spot, but neither Rivaldo nor Iniesta nor Sergi Roberto could match the transcendence of the most iconic goal in Barca's history, the 1992 Champions League final. Ronald Koeman, in the 7th minute of the second extra time, scored from a free kick against Sampdoria. Stoichkov taps, Bakero lays it off, and Koeman smashes it through the wall and past Pagliuca's hands. Barcelona's first Champions League title didn't come until 1992, a curse that seemed eternal, until the Dutch defender shattered it. Kai Havertz's goal against Manchester City was more important. Didier Drogba's against Bayern Munich was more epic. Even Ramirez's goal in that same semi-final was brighter and more crucial to Chelsea's revenge against Barcelona. But this video is about the most remembered goals, and for some reason, the one that no one forgets is Fernando Torres' one. The goal that killed off Barca, already eliminated anyway, in that 2012 Champions League semi-final. Barcelona led 2-0 and played with the man advantage after John Terry's early red card. Then Ramirez scored, putting Chelsea back in the final thanks to the away goals rule. Then Messi missed the penalty against the world's most handsome goalkeeper. And in the 19th minute, with Barca desperate, came Ashley Cole's long ball that found El Niño completely alone. After a brilliant first touch, Torres sprinted 50 meters, drowned at Victor Valdés, and, in the only decisive thing he ever did at Chelsea, scored the most iconic goal in the history of the Blues. Matchday 38 of Ligue 1, 2007-2008 season, the worst in Paris Saint-Germain's history. So bad that they were 7 minutes away from relegating to Ligue 2, until the 83rd minute, when Amarea Diané scored the winner away at Sochaux, the most consequential goal in PSG's history. Bourillon won the ball and sent it into the box. Where Diané failed to control it, he clashed with the defender, fell, but still managed to beat the keeper on holiday. No one remembers Diané, but without the Ivorian forward, PSG will have been relegated, and Qatar will never have bought the club. No Diané, no Ibrahimovic, no Cavani, no Neymar, no Mbappe, no Luis Enrique. Without Diané's goal, the Champions League will be sitting in another European city today. 2007 Champions League semi-finals. Milan visits Manchester United at Old Trafford. Clearance from Dida. Long. Super long. Fletcher lets it bounce, and Kaká powers through. Heinze overcommits. Barak comes to cover, and the Brazilian pulls off a sombrero to himself. He leaves his rival to crash into the incoming train named Patrice Evra, while he calmly pushes the ball into the net. Milan reached the Champions League final one last time, on that unforgettable night when Kaká turned United's defense into a mere cartoon. Far too few have heard of a myth named Lars Ricken beyond German borders. Lars Ricken was born in Dortmund, debuted for Borussia at 17, played over 400 matches for his lifelong club, and retired there at just 30, not before winning 3 Bundesligas with Borussia Dortmund, more than any other player in the club's history. But all those achievements pale compared to those 16 seconds in the 1997 Champions League final against Juventus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's how long it took Ricken to come on as a substitute and scored the goal that gave Dortmund the only Champions League in its history. It took 44 years for Manchester City to compete again for the English League title. All they needed was a win on the final day of the 2011-2012 season, at home, against Queen's Park Rangers. Easy, right? Well, guess what? QPR was winning 2-1 in the 92nd minute. Meanwhile, Manchester United had already finished their game at Sunderland, and over the radio they heard the injury time taken away in their neighbour's match. Ferguson's team was ready to celebrate another Premier League. 2012 didn't look that different. But at that moment, Edin Dzeko scored in the 92nd minute. But it was just the equalizer, worth nothing, unless what happened next occurred. Mario Balotelli, from the ground, rescued the ball, the last ball of the game, which fell to the feet of
Agüero!
Manchester City, Premier League champions.
I swear you'll never see anything like this ever again!
Since then, it became routine. But that goal by Agüero, at 93:20 seconds, is and will forever be the last memory erased from any citizen who left it.